But why do I say he's starting to take Labor with him? Because the Resolve poll, which comes out via the Channel 9 papers, a bit deeper digging into it, starts to show an even worse picture than the one we told you about last night, where he's had a 7-point drop in his preferred Prime Minister rating. Currently, the Liberals are in front now on primary vote, Labor at 34%. The headline, however, is neither will be able to form a majority government if those numbers stick. So put simply, your preferences matter. If you are voting for Palmer United, One Nation, Liberal Democrats, Local Independent, who you put last matters. Who you put second last matters. Who you put third last matters. You have to make a choice about who forms a government if the party you vote for isn't there. How many times can we show you Albo? How many times can we show you the craziness of the Greens? To me, the choice is absolutely clear. Now, there are about 25% of people that are apparently still undecided in this election for all different reasons, but the data is starting to show, and you know on this show, I'm committed to telling you the data, not the media narratives and not the wishful thinking. The data is ultimately what gives us an insight into what might be happening here. Of course, people were paying attention. Of course, the shocker that Albo had meant that a lot of people talked about it over the Easter long weekend. I certainly know that was the case, whether I was at Sydney's Easter show, family lunches, or the cinemas and many places in between where people stopped me over the weekend. Well, have a look at this. On the issues, the undecideds are starting to fall the government's way big time. Labor on the economy is down to just 23%, off by 4. Undecideds, same number. The Lib Nats up by 6. They are clearly winning the debate on the economy. On national security, they are smashing the Labor Party, and the undecideds are starting to move towards the Prime Minister. But most amazingly here, you had a huge turnaround in the issue where, sure, Labor is still in front when it comes to the health issue, but the Liberals are starting to get very close. The undecided number, as well as the Labor number, has gone straight across to the government. Things like diabetes medication being listed on the PBS, the Pharmaceutical Benefits Scheme, very important in all of that. So there's no guessing, but we have to be absolutely clear, crystal clear every night, laser focus. 33 days to stop the mad left. Australia is at a crossroads. We are faced with a choice. There is a good one. There is a bad one. There is one that will send us backwards fast. And Albo is absolutely helping us make that case each and every night with his own disgraceful performance. Remember, for a long time he was running third to don't know? Well, those would have been the glory days because, as you know, he doesn't know the unemployment rate. He doesn't know the interest rates. He lied about his job in the Hawke government. He lied about how many casual workers are there. He's lied about his health plans not once, but 3 times, including no idea how many nurses he'll need or where they will come from. And most dangerously, he stuffed up on borders twice. Now, if for whatever reason, and I'll give you a pass because it was a long weekend and a Sunday night, you didn't see us, Albo screwed up last week by saying that we won't need offshore processing, that magically, because maybe Christina Keneally will have the power to turn around boats, we won't need offshore processing. And then he doubled down on temporary protection visas. And as Peter Credlin eloquently pointed out a bit earlier tonight, it's like a stool. If you take away just one of those legs, it falls over. You take away 2, it has no chance of standing. Remember what the stakes were here. The policy had to change because 50,000 people came here illegally and more than 1,200 people died on the way. And just in case you think boats aren't a thing anymore, Jim Molan has told us on Sky News tonight that there are 8,000 refugees with a fistful of money waiting to jump in a boat to come to Australia tonight. So temporary protection visas and offshore processing and turning around the boats, all of it has to happen. Not some of it. It's not a buffet. It's all of it or none of it works. Here, of course, was yesterday when Albo is nodding along. He understood the question. He just didn't know his own policy.
Do you remain committed to Operation Sovereign Borders? And if so, do you support the retention of temporary protection visas?
Yes.
But the problem was his one-word answer was wrong. Now, this wasn't something where, and I love the people who say the reason he's had his gaffes is because he's just so awesome. He's got so much going on in his brain. He got his own policy wrong. So when he came out to fix a mistake, he confirmed a worse one. That temporary protection visas, which are the visas that if for whatever reason you eventually get to Australia after all of those other processes, that you are always kept in a form of limbo. That if things get safer back in the country you came from, see you later. Or if you are ultimately ruled not to be a refugee, see you later. If you change that policy, you change border security. Now, a lot of people want to think, again, this is some sort of yesterday's news. I repeat, 8,000 people waiting in Indonesia tonight. And Albo is getting ready to welcome them.
Earlier on, I heard half the question and didn't hear all of it. Labor's policy is to support Operation Sovereign Borders. We support offshore processing. We support resettlement in third countries. We don't support temporary protection visas.
This is Each Way Albo. Operation Sovereign Borders is three things, not two. And while I desperately would like to show him the middle finger, it's not one either. That's why the Prime Minister, line and length, lined this bloke up and knows exactly what is at stake. I repeat, 8,000 people sitting, waiting and watching. 1,300 people died when we got this wrong last time.
In August of 2008, Kevin Rudd abolished temporary protection visas. That was the green light to Labor's border protection failures. You want to date it? That was the day. They said people smugglers are in business. And from that day on, the boats came and they just kept coming and they just kept coming and people kept on drowning. And Labor had no credible answers.
Your vote matters, your preferences matter. Literally, national security is at stake.